Excuse me. Just two logistical things. The purpose for today's session, this being our last session before you go on study leave, we will not have a session tomorrow afternoon. It's an extra day for you, extra period for you, extra time for you just to either relax, recover, recuperate, and or start with your preparation for your exams. Or I would suggest just to take a clean break and say, I'm going to do nothing, and that on Monday morning, I'm ready to go, and I start with my preparation. But everybody's different. Everybody's circumstances are different. I'm going to use tomorrow afternoon's time to complete marking, because I'm very confident that all marking of everything for all the first year groups will be done. By Saturday. So it's off to the moderator. You can have results early in next week, and that will be good. Yes, Danielle.
Sorry. So basically, we had that class discussion thing that we had to go, like, discuss stuff and answer on each other's texts and stuff. But then I did it, and I sent mine in. But it's like I went on my grades this morning and said it's missing. And I remember I did send you an email about it, and I did send academic, like the academic thing. And all they did was send your assignment, but it wasn't an assignment, so I don't know what to do.
It wasn't. Yeah, it's missing. I've passed it on to the model coordinator, Danielle, because I mean, yeah, that was that participation session that you guys did. Yes, at the start. I think the first one, right?
So it was the second one we had to do now.
Was the second one? Okay.
Yeah. And then,
okay, but yeah, I've passed it on. I've passed it on to Ms. van Blommestein to say, listen, have a look at it, because I mean, obviously, there's something strange going on, yeah. But don't stress about that. It's not going to affect your results at all. It's obviously just a technical issue that they have to sort out. Okay. But I've forwarded your email to them as well, just to respond. But I know Ms. van Blommestein has taken a couple of days leave, just to prepare for the next tsunami of marking that comes in next week, when our second and third years finish their exams. But anyway, thanks for just bringing that to my attention again. And yes, I am aware of it, and as I said, don't stress about it at all. Nothing you can do about it at the moment, so don't worry about it. It's something that we have to address on our side. One or two things I just wanted to, and you must be bored of what you see on the screen already, so I'm going to move to the next slide. What the session is about, and is to sort of tie a couple of loose ends. We did a very thorough catch-up recap session on Chapter 9, social media marketing, in our previous session, and I highlighted that, obviously, and I will repeat it for those who have not attended the previous session, that obviously, although we have only 5 chapters from the textbook that you have to prepare for your for your exam, the bulk will obviously come from the work that you have not been assessed on. You've not been assessed on Chapter 9, social media marketing. You've not been assessed on especially those 3 additional resources that we used to discuss digital natives versus digital immigrants, the POPI Act, and then obviously digital trends and social media platforms. Those are all additional material. What I want to, at this point, just bring to your attention, and please, you can check it. I made sure that this morning already, everything that you need to know and prepare for your exam, including the slides that you currently see, only excluding the recording because we are still busy with this session, you will find in week 12, which is where we are today, week 12 on Canvas on your module schedule, under resources, your weekly resources, week 12. I've uploaded everything that you see on the screen in yellow, chapters 1, 2, 5, 6, 9, and those 3 additional slideshows, PowerPoints that we did for those 3 topics. I've included in one week, which is our revision week that we are currently busy with. Go to week 12 on Canvas. You'll find everything in yellow there in 1 week. So you do not have to go back to every single week of the entire semester to access the material that's necessary. You can go just straight to week 12 to weekly resources, and you'll find all the slides there. Okay. Let's just get, yes, Caitlin.
Sorry, I just want to ask, so must we do the legal framework in digital marketing as well?
Excuse me. You'll see that if I advance to the later sections, which would be the recap session. Obviously, we've done all these chapters. What we have done is what I've done is also included recaps on what is important in those additional resources that we've used. The legal framework, if you go to your slides, is about the POPI Act. Okay. Right, so that covers the POPI Act that you see on the screen. And to me, I think we've done all the chapters. We've done the recaps of all the chapters and revision on all the chapters from your textbook. I want to spend time today, after I've done all the logistics, I want to spend time on recapping those additional resources, the emerging digital marketing trends, the POPI Act, as well as that final one, which is about digital natives and digital immigrants. I just want to make sure, and we're not going to go through all the work again, but I'm going to discuss the aspects that you see on the screen for each of those 3 additional resources. So we would have done revision on all the chapters in the textbook as well as the additional resources that we've used. But the legal framework, I might as well just have renamed it to the POPI Act, because that entire section is about the POPI Act. Let's just go back right to the start and look at some of the logistics. On the top again, chapters 1, 2, 5, 6, and 9. That's what you get from your textbook. Additionally to that, the discussion we had on digital natives versus digital immigrants, the discussion on the POPI Act, and then, excuse me, digital trends and social media platforms. Okay, just to give you an idea of what you have to prepare. The only other thing that you are not 100% sure of at the moment, which I'll address now, is the different types of questions that you can expect. Again, just confirmation that this exam that you will write will be online, and it will be done on the 20th of June, if I'm correct. Do you have exactly the same information? 3 hours online on the 20th. Thanks, Ashley. Right. It's a 100-mark paper. Excuse me. It's a 100-mark paper. And it has the following types of questions. One thing I need to remove, that I forgot to remove from this slide, is that there's no multiple choice questions. There are matching column questions, and there are true and false questions. Okay, simple. Statement is made. Is that statement true or false? Matching columns, we give you a topic or a specific concept, like for instance the POPI Act, and then there's a little description in your column on your right hand side. You have to match the one that best suits that particular option in column A. Matching questions, again, when we get later in the session to how do you prepare for that type of questioning, similar to multiple choice questions. Read the question, answer the question, and then look at the options that's available. If, say, for instance, the question 7.1 says match from column B the best description that suits the concept in column A. Column A says 7.1, the Poppy Act. And then there's a couple of descriptions, and you have to match it. The Poppy Act, for instance, is new legislation that was passed in the 1st of July, effective from the 1st of July 2021, where in an attempt to protect consumers' personal information to be shared by everybody. Okay, if that's the right answer, that's the choice that you will make. Matthew, you have a question.
So will these slides be available on Canva?
It's already available on Canvas. Not sure if you joined late, but I said right at the start that
So
these slides that we currently see is already on Canvas. Yes, in week 12 under weekly resources, where all the slides for all the chapters are. You will also have shorter questions. Define the following for 3 marks, or list the following, list 5 steps in the following process for 5 marks if there's 5 steps. Those are shorter type questions. There is a essay question included as well, where, for instance, I would say, please, in an essay format, explain or discuss to me the importance of social media marketing for businesses. You obviously have to discuss the topic, but the format is equally important. Make sure that you have a proper introduction. Make sure that you have a body of the essay where you discuss the question, and that you have a conclusion at the end. I'll spend more time in just now on specifically how to answer an essay question. And then there's also a case study question included too. Right, those are the types of questions you're going to get in your paper, which is a 3-hour paper online for 100 marks. Right. Chapters that we have done, we've done chapter 1 with 2, 3, 5, 6, and 9 in our initial my apologies, in our initial discussion and previous revision sessions that we've had. The additional resources that whose slides are also already on Canvas in week 12. And for those who are still not sure where week 12 is, because we're actually almost in June, so it can't just be 12 weeks. Week 12 of the program refer to your module schedule on Canvas's homepage. Those weeks are the weeks that that reflect the duration of this module. We're in week 12 at the moment, and that's where you'll find the information that you have to prepare for your exam. Now, the one section covered the emerging digital marketing trends. Now, there are 5 of them, if you can recall, and those who want to open that particular section, you can do so. It's one of the last sections that we covered in this module. I think the 5 topics that you see on the screen are the 5 trends that we covered in that particular chapter, or in that particular PowerPoint presentation. The rise of social media, or social commerce, more specifically. I think we've addressed the fact that a lot of people use social networks to do their shopping from nowadays. if you can remember from this particular PowerPoint presentation, each of these 5 trends is highlighted in red, and then there's a discussion, and then there's a couple of images and links and videos that follows, just to support the statements that were made on that front page. The important aspects to remember for you would be that first page where the topic is discussed. Secondly, we also have grown-up influencers, specifically referring to the role of influencers. I think from about, 2019, 2018, the rise of shitposting, these kind of things, this all fall under this particular section of influences, or specifically the trend of grown-ups, or specific individuals being used to influence how consumers make their decisions by supporting certain brands and certain products. Regaining control, it's all about the option that becomes available to you to say, no, you can't share this information. No, I'm not interested. It's about data privacy concerns specifically. And I know that the challenges here was to combat the disinformation and the rising awareness of especially the mental health that is actually led to users to make more control, or take more control over their social media usage. The fourth trend would be the one of the democratization of artificial intelligence. Our artificial intelligence has become a very useful tool. Here it's about specifically utilizing artificial intelligence effectively. It is very quickly becoming a key question for businesses. Excuse me, sorry. My apologies. And it can have a huge impact on the marketing department of businesses. One of the most exciting areas, in my opinion, of artificial intelligence is how it can be used to support or bolster humanity more in a more creative manner. Read through again, as I said, each of these particular trends. There's a front page that provides you with the information that explains each of these trends, and then obviously followed by some images and links that just support the particular trend or provide you with more information about the trend. Content evolution is the fifth one. We know that you as consumers are consuming more content than ever before. I think on average, we said that people spend about 2.5 hours on social media every day. That's just average. I know that some of you break those records before breakfast in the morning. But I think it's also a question of ensuring, therefore, from a marketing point of view, that the content that you share with your or that you share on social media must still draw the attention of the customer. That's one traditional rule that still applies when you're marketing and communicating a specific message to a target audience, because they're getting an overload of information. Make sure that the content is relevant, but before even the relevance is important, that actually catches the attention of the consumer. Okay, those are the five trends, emerging trends in digital marketing from that particular series of slides that we use to cover that section. The following one is obviously is the POPI Act, and I think more important for me is, and I've highlighted on the screen there what I think is important from those 10 or so slides on the subject, is that, excuse me, my apologies, is that you have to understand what the POPI Act is. Okay, the POPI Act has the main objective of encouraging the protection of personal information. What can be made public and what shouldn't be made public. And to be able to do that, certain conditions and certain requirements that businesses have to comply to have been implemented or have been suggested. That you'll find under the key elements of the POPI Act. There are 3 different categories of risk that is addressed with the POPI Act. Okay, and then very importantly about the POPI Act is that it has an impact on 2 levels. It has an impact on the rights of the consumers, but it also puts certain requires certain responsibility and compliance from businesses. What can businesses do? What can't they do? What are the rights of the consumers? That sort of summarizes everything that you'll find in that particular section on the POPI Act. What's the Act? What are the main elements of the Act? Why is the Act there? What was the objective or the aim? And then also look at it from 2 different sides. How does the customer benefit from it? What's the customer's responsibility or the consumer's responsibility? What are businesses expected to do to comply to ensure that that they follow the POPI Act or the regulations of the POPI Act? Finally, the difference between digital natives and digital immigrants. Understand what a digital native is. You might be required to explain to me what a digital native is and what a digital immigrant is, and what's the impact that digital natives have on business, as well as what the impact is that digital immigrants have on businesses. If you understand the difference between digital natives and digital immigrants, it will be quite easy for you to actually then engage in a discussion as to what the impact of each of them are on businesses. Sorry, my apologies. We know that digital natives, for instance, they are probably, because of the fact that they are the new generation, you guys born after 1980 basically, and who possess a vast knowledge of modern technology. They are therefore the ones who do obviously exploit business opportunities. They are fully switched on all the time, and they are ready to identify new opportunities. And obviously, as a younger generation, they're very passionate, very innovative. But there's also challenges that come with that. With the digital immigrants, on the other hand, being the older generation like myself, we had minimal technology compared to what you guys have been, well, were born into. It takes more time for them to adapt, obviously, to the technology. Some do it faster than others, but they are also they also have something that they can claim, and is that to a certain extent they were the ones, and they were the reason for the modern technology that exists today, because they did the initial development that obviously the natives have just now took and run with. What's the impact of the digital immigrant on business? They adapt a bit slower. I think a lot of patience is required when you work with people from or work with digital immigrants. They do require training, and as I said, some learn faster than others. But it is important, because very often in businesses you still find that you have digital immigrants in positions of authority and management, and therefore it's important that they are upskilled and trained in what is expected of or how they can use modern technology more efficiently, because the majority of the employees will be digital natives. Understand the difference between the two, like I've explained them now. Understand how they can impact on a business. It's not that difficult, I think, to understand. I think most of you, as digital natives, have a good comprehension of this particular topic. Right. When we get to specifically, and I've done this before, and some of you would say, oh, geez, same slides again. People, I've spent at least 8 to 10 hours every day this entire week on marking assignments and marking scripts from your test papers. It's very clear to me that some of you still don't read the questions thoroughly enough. We'll get to when we get to the next section or the next module, business marketing. I'll embroider on that and I'll go into more detail. But there are still some students, and I'm not talking about isolated cases here. I'm talking about quite a substantial percentage of the groups of you as a group who are still battling with interpreting questions correctly. I can only assume that because I know that you are an above average. You're a group with that definitely possess an above average intellect. There's no question to me about that. But it's like a gifted sports star like a Ronaldo or a Tiger Woods or a Max Verstappen in different sports that they represent, or a Nadal in tennis, for instance, who find it difficult sometimes to communicate the knowledge that they have in the right manner. It doesn't mean, in the analogy, why I've used a coaching analogy is, or this sport analogy is, because very often the most gifted players are not necessarily, and who have had fantastic careers, are not necessarily successful as coaches when they retire. They love the game, they love the sport they've played, they want to be coaches, but they battle to be successful coaches because they were blessed with natural talents and never really had to work hard to master their skills. It's therefore very frustrating if they have to work with somebody who hasn't got that natural talent, and because they're required to be very patient. It's required to be very patient with those individuals because they're going to take longer to master the same thing. If somebody has great hand-eye coordination, I can throw a ball at them 10 times and they'll drop the first 2 maybe, and then the rest they will, and after that they will actually not do it at all. If I explain a certain exercise to do, somebody with certain natural abilities would master that after about 5 or 6 times of trying it. But on average, people take close to 100. Requires to at least to repeat a particular activity 100 times before they can actually master it. It's similar with I find that similar frustration when I'm assessing your papers and I'm marking your assignments. I know you know what you have to say to me, but sometimes you struggle to express yourself. But more often than not, you don't link properly the answer to the question. The interpretation is still where the biggest challenge lies at this stage. And I think if you take time, because I've gone through the paper twice now that you're going to write on the 20th. 3 hours is more than enough time. 3 hours is more than enough time for you to complete the paper. But here lies the opportunity. Take time to read the question effectively. That's where you're going to help yourself to interpret it better. Read it again, and read it for the 3rd time. Try and look for the instruction words or the operative word in a particular question, because sometimes I think, and we'll get to that in the next section. I was horrified in how many of students in business marketing actually misinterpreted certain questions. But we'll get to that in the next class. The same, however, applies to digital marketing. It's the same common mistakes. We are patient, but that's why I spend a lot of time on that at the moment with you, because I don't want you to. I'm lenient, and the majority of, if not all of our faculty is very lenient at this point, because it is a first semester that you are with Stadio. But this is done to prevent it from repeating itself, and that we still have these conversations and still experiencing the same problems this time next year, because then you're halfway through your course. Please read your questions more carefully. I think if I've made that comment in any of the feedback I've given any of the students so far with all the marking I've done, that's the one I've probably repeated most. Read the question again. If you read the question again, you'll see that you've made a silly mistake. Okay. Instructions, words are important. We try to, and usually it's highlighted in a question. Explain, list, name, describe, demonstrate at the hand of an example. And then I still have students who no explanation, just list the topic. You will get away with it. You will get away with it in your first year, especially in the first semester still. But if it's reoccurring, you're going to have some problems in future. Please make sure, therefore, that you read the question. And I'm repeating myself, but I'm going to do this until you don't make the mistake or don't repeat the mistake. Read the question carefully. Right. Let's look at how we address essay questions. And there's one essay question in your paper. It's not a 40 mark, 50 mark essay out of 100. It's proportional to what your total mark is. Don't worry, there are no questions that's more than I think maximum 15 marks out of 100. There's no questions more than 15 marks. It's average 5, 6, 9, 10, but there's no, even the essay question is not I would not say a proper essay question, but it's not an essay question where you're expected to write 5 pages for me for 50 marks. But it is an essay question, and the important thing about any essay question is you have to read the topic, or if the essay is related to a case study, you have to read the information properly. If the essay is related to a case study, if I provide you with a case study that sets the theme for the question, and sometimes even provide you with information that you can use in your answer, it's very important to read the case study thoroughly. Read through it like you read a story. I usually, when I do an essay, I read the question first, so I can have an understanding of what the question is expecting me to reply to in the essay. Then I read the case study so I can get a background. Then I read the question again, and then I read the case study again. The case studies that you're going to get on this level of assessment are not 5 pages of information that's going to take you half an hour to read through. Maximum maybe 5 minutes to read through everything thoroughly. I would say put 5 minutes aside for each question, for an essay related question or a case study related question, to read the question and link the question to the case study, and also allow yourself time to read the case study and obtain a background, because that's what often the case study is, just background information that will help you. The content that you'll be assessed on, what the question is actually expecting you to do, is still related to work that you've done in the chapters in your textbook. It's a way of assessing your comprehension of a specific concept or topic that we have covered in the curriculum, in the chapters in the book. Okay, this is not a comprehension test at school where the information is all in the text or in the case study. You will still have to understand the concept. Like, for instance, explain to me the difference, or briefly write an essay for me to explain to me what the impact is that digital natives have on businesses. You'll have to then obviously write an essay for me. And the important thing about the essay is the structure. And I promise you, if I get answers where I don't have 3 paragraphs, at least, that separate your introduction, the text, the body of the essay, as well as the conclusion, you're going to find me in a very foul mood when I'm marking those questions. Introduction, people, is very often quite simply what the question expects you to do. You are going to repeat almost what the question expects you to do by saying, in the following essay, I am going to indicate to you what the different key elements are that that makes digital native such an important component of modern day business marketing. Then you'll discuss it and you'll list all the different reasons why you say so. And then you come to the conclusion. And the conclusion is quite simply a summary of what you've done in your essay, in the body of the essay. From what I've included in my essay, it's quite obvious that we can conclude that businesses nowadays cannot ignore the importance of digital natives, because they are tech savvy, and you list your reasons, you summarize the reasons that you did in the body. That's people. You've all done essays before. This is not, and I don't want to make this just about the essay, because that's only one of the questions in the paper. But because you have not had an essay question in a paper before, I wanted to spend additional time on that specifically. Just make sure that you have an introduction, a proper body that discusses the question that is asked of you, and then a conclusion. And a conclusion can say that based on this, I don't agree with the statement, or based on this, depending on what the question is. Obviously, and we've done this before. I know you know this, but I want you to read this again. And it doesn't have to be now. And it's probably not going to be now. I want you to spend time when you go through these slides. And yes, for those who have joined during this at different times during this session, everything that you see on the screen, everything that we've done today is already uploaded as a PowerPoint to Canvas, along with everything else that you have to prepare for your exam, all in 1 week under the weekly resources of week 12, which is the week that we're in at the moment. Okay. Anybody, any questions at this stage? No question? Ankia's fine. George, Janet, anybody? Faisal, you good?
No questions, thanks, sir.
Nothing here, sir.
Thank you, Janet.
Yeah.
Matthew's also no questions. Right, it leaves me with one thing, and one thing only. Please take a break tomorrow. Do you have any other classes tomorrow? Any other classes tomorrow?
Yes, sir.
Ooh, what's the lucky subject?
Marketing is one of them. Business marketing.
You think so? We'll finish business marketing in today's session. You don't have digital marketing or business marketing tomorrow. We finish with everything today. We'll do our proper briefing on both the assessments today. You've got those 2 periods off tomorrow afternoon. However, and I'll get back to business just now.
So then we just have stats. That's all we have then tomorrow. Just one stats lesson in the morning. Yeah.
Okay, that's good. Thanks, Matthew. I think at this stage, as I said, it leaves me with only one thing, and that is that because all the marking has been completed of your assignments as well as your formal test that you wrote, it's in the process of moderation. And again, I had a very lengthy meeting this morning with our academic manager. We rescheduled a lot of things to ensure that we help each other where we can. If I've got 30 assignments to mark and somebody else has 5 assignments to mark, then that other person can assist me just to speed up the processes so we have everything completed. It is important for us that we have that done as soon as possible. And I said to you that the 2 modules, digital marketing and business marketing, that I teach to you, everything will be completed. Marking and everything will be done by tomorrow. Moderation of some of them have happened or started already. I want to be able to release those results to you early in next week. And please keep your eyes out for an announcement, for a post, announcement that I'll post, because I want to discuss the actual papers with you. I want to put the digital marketing first paper on the screen for you. I want to put the business marketing first formal test on the screen for you. Go through question for question so you can see where you've made mistakes. But it's of no value if you don't have access to the feedback that I've given you individually. If we discuss it now, I can just give you general feedback and I can say, these are the mistakes that you've made. If you have your answer next to you and you see where you got marks or where you didn't get marks, then it's more valuable when I have that discussion then. We will still schedule a session like that. I cannot do a session like this before the results are not released after they've been moderated. That's the only reason why that didn't happen this week. Because you're on study leave next week, it's going to happen within next week. So keep an eye out every morning when you get up and you walked the dog or ran around the block or did your yoga class or whatever to get you going. Just check your inbox, check for those messages coming through, for those announcements that are posted, because it's difficult for me to commit myself now to a particular day or time. But I would definitely be able to do that on Monday next week. So check on Monday for both these modules on one when you will have that additional session. And that is not necessarily going to be in a time slot that you currently have on your timetables. That could be any time of the day. I would prefer it to be in the mornings because then you can get on with your work and your revision and your preparation for your test. When's your first test and what is the first test that you're writing? Or exam, sorry.
It's your test on the 20th.
But then it's a walk in the park. There's no worries then. Digital marketing on the 20th. Now you'll cream it. You've got the whole next weekend to prepare for it. And you don't need more than that. Okay, brilliant. No, proper feedback, and I think it's also helps a great deal that students have started with their revision and with their preparation for an exam to then have a discussion, and it's just yeah, it's a very valuable session. Some of it I have already addressed, general mistakes that I think that has repeated itself through among the majority of the group. But as I said, more specific individual ones is what we do as a final preparation before your exams. Okay. Let me quickly go through the chat and see. My apologies. Difference between digital natives and digital immigrants. Yes, George, I think that would be that will be I'm not sure if it's exactly a question in a paper, but I would suspect that understanding the difference between the two and how they impact on the influence that they have and how the impact on businesses is important. The difference is what the impact. Okay, right. No, nothing new to add to any of the questions or any of the comments that was made in the chat. Thanks for Ashley and Ankia also replying to George's question. Any other questions, anybody? Because I think let's take. I don't have anything to add at the moment regarding digital marketing. I know that we still will have one more session that I will confirm on Monday, exactly the date and the time. Let me just get an idea from you guys. What is a decent time, in your opinion? I'm not invigilating any exams next week, so I'm okay with any day. Remember, next Thursday is a public holiday, right? Don't forget about that. Doesn't mean that you're not going to study. Doesn't mean that I'm not going to work. But obviously nobody will be on campus because it's an official public holiday. What time of day would be a good time to schedule a discussion feedback session like I've referred to now? What is the best time for you guys? 4 o'clock in the afternoon? No, sir.
Any times, pretty much. I don't think I have anything going on Monday.
So I think maybe something from 11 or 10, maybe.
Right. It's
Yeah, I was thinking the same.
Okay, right. I get it. Not too many morning people in this group now. I'm quite aware of that. It allows you opportunity to get out there and maybe do a gym session. Right. I will then, whenever I have a date that I can confirm with you, I will schedule a session. I won't make it before 10 o'clock in the morning. Okay. And I won't make it late in the afternoon either. Okay. It's probably going to be 10-ish, 11-ish in the morning. And we're probably only going to need probably just 1 hour to complete the discussion. But we're not limited time-wise. It's not a 40-minute period that we are limited to, and it's finished and we're done and we have to move on because you've got other classes and you've got other sessions. This is unlimited. Time-wise, it's unlimited. It's until we're done. Okay. So it won't be before 10 in the morning. And it's more than likely going to be 10, 10:30, 11-ish. But I'll confirm the date. Right. Any other questions or any other contributions at the moment? I would have started with business marketing, similar feedback session and similar discussion session as we just had for digital marketing. But unfortunately, there are students who don't have digital marketing, but they do have business marketing. So I'm not going to, unfortunately, be able to give you a 10-minute break and then immediately resume with a business marketing session, exam preparation session. Unfortunately, I can't do that before 10 to 1. We can have a half an hour break now, I think. Let's start the session. We can start normal time at 1 o'clock if you want to, or we can start 5 minutes or so earlier. I'll be online for business marketing, a similar discussion that we just had on digital marketing, like we would have had on campus today. I'll be online from 12:50. I just need to quickly follow up on some emails. Is that okay with you? I'll be online from 12:50. Let's start, let's say 5 to 1. Would that be okay for everybody?
Yes, sir.
Okay, go take a sort of what's the time at the moment? 12. No, yeah, it's too early for lunch. Well, in the case of students, it's never too early for lunch. Take a nice break, whatever break you have to take, but we'll resume. I'll be online from about 12:50, and then we can start as soon as the majority have joined. Okay, so
Sir,
yes.
are we going to use the same link as the one that we use now?
I think there's a different link that was created for, and the usual one that we always use for online sessions on a Thursday for business marketing. Just for the sake of, because I mean, if there are students, as I said, there would be students who don't have digital marketing, so they won't have access to this link. In the announcement, I've posted the link as well, but it's a normal DMB12 business marketing link. I'm not going to use the same link, unfortunately. We can't, because then some students will be excluded. Okay.
Okay, thank you, sir.
Sure. See you guys in half an hour.